Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Thursday, John Shannon standing by. All of our guests today brought to you by the Vancouver Giants. Giants kick off their first-round playoff series in Kamloops tomorrow. Return to the LEC for Game 3 Tuesday, Game 4 Thursday. Get your tickets now at vancouvergiants.com/tickets as we bring in NHL Analyst, host of the Bob McCown podcast, John Shannon, a Thursday regular. How are you, sir?
I'm great, boys. You?
Very, very well. Let's hit your area of expertise here. Broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
What was your reaction to John Garrett's announcement on him leaving Canucks broadcasts?
Shocked, disappointed, because I love listening to John and John. And I've known John since we had a discussion in a bar in Calgary. I know it's hard to believe that we'd be in a bar in Calgary together in 1985 about John becoming a television commentator, and lucky enough to work with John for many years over at Hockey Night in Canada, and I view him as one of the greatest assets the show ever had, and he proved that for the last 20 years doing Canuck games.
What makes a strong color analyst, John, and what did Cheech bring to the table?
Well, first of all, he was real. There was no phoniness. John had a natural ability to tell a story. I think that playing the position he did in the NHL, you play a 60-minute game as a goaltender, and you actually analyze the game in a very simple fashion, whether it's going away from you or coming directly to you. And I think that was a huge asset. John made the game human. Mm-hmm. And he was, the great thing about Cheech was that he was the same guy off camera that he was on, and that was a huge talent, because there's so many guys, Donnie, I don't have to tell you that they're different people when the light goes on or the microphone is turned on, and that to me was John's greatest talent. He's going to be missed. I'll tell you what, they're going to have a difficult time replacing what he brought to this organization for so long.
Yeah, that is hard to do, to be yourself on the air. Not everybody can pull it off. Hey, John, we heard from Jim Rutherford through a letter to the season ticket holders, but he hasn't appeared in front of television cameras or radio interviews for quite a while now. I would say several weeks. What do you think? I know he's Canadian. He knows all about this country, but what do you think he's learned over the past year or so about life in charge of a team like the Canucks in a hot Canadian hockey market?
Funny, I was with Bruce Boudreau last night at the Conn Smythe dinner here in Toronto, and it is a different animal working in Canada than it is in the United States, and the level of intensity of being part of an NHL team in this country is 24/7, 365, and the amount of expertise and knowledge that the fans have, that the media have every day, never changes, and it can bombard you at times. I think that there's, it is intentional that we haven't heard or seen Jimmy very much, because I think that after the press conference, which started to talk about the Tanner Pearson injury, I think that there was a realization that he had to take a step back. Patrick Alvin's the manager. Patrick Alvin, part of his job is to manage the messaging and let Jimmy be in the back and try to pull strings, whatever strings need to be pulled from the president's chair. So I think that alone, Donnie, it was the biggest learning curve for Jim and the market and Vancouver.
John, I want to talk about a guy that's from Burnaby, 29 years old, having the best year of his career, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and you've seen him many times this year. Everyone talks about the big dogs in Edmonton. His previous career high, 69 points. He's having the quietest 96-point season of anybody I can remember. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, what a season. Tell us about his great season under the radar a little.
Well, and first of all, let's remember he's now under a long-term contract for $5.25 million. I think the number is. And what Ryan has been able to do is embrace his position on this hockey club, coming to the Oilers as a first overall pick coming out of Red Deer. I think there was a ton of unfair pressure on him. And right now, knowing that Connor McDavid's on line one, and for the most part, he's playing on line two with Leon Draisaitl, plus he's killing penalties. And on the power play, he has become, in many ways, the Swiss Army knife for the Edmonton Oilers. And that's a perfect role for him. He's not the most physical guy, and yet you've seen him use his body more this year. I saw him have a fight this year.
Yeah.
Come on. He's engaged, and he's also underappreciated, Rick, as one of the best passers in the game. Leon's remarkable.
Yep.
But Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and his role on this club cannot be underestimated. He's a vital cog in their success. And the other thing is, for the first 5 or 6 years, they were playing him at the center. Then they were moving him to wing. They were playing him at center, moving him to wing. Now they've said, hey, you know what? You're a winger. You're playing with Draisaitl. Enjoy it. And he's done that and done a very good job for the hockey club. And can you imagine this team in Edmonton when the season ends? They will have 3 100-point guys.
That's it.
It's impressive.
Yeah, and 61 assists for Ryan Nugent. Hey, Paul Maurice lost it on his team last night. Rick Bowness said these guys are not giving us their all. I don't know about you, John, but I like this honesty coming from coaches this week. It's been fun to watch and listen.
The pressure of getting to the playoffs.
That's it.
Both Rick and Paul, who obviously are linked because Paul's old job is now Rick's new one, and the frustration of trying to get through to professional athletes who are on guaranteed contracts, who know in many times say, I'm going to outlive you, coach. It must drive you batty. The Winnipeg one's an amazing story in a negative sense because the Jets were the talk of the National Hockey League for 2.5 months.
Yep.
And were really impressive, and they got away from playing that game, and I think that's what's driving the fans in Winnipeg crazy, and the coach crazy. Because how can you change what we had going there? They haven't been very as strong defensively, but at the same time, some of their big guys, Scheifele, Wheeler, Dubois, Connor, have not contributed at the other end of the ice, and that's having a terrible impact on if the Jets can make the playoffs. In Florida, to listen to and watch Paul last night, holy smokes, that's good old-fashioned hockey, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. That was something that I think that very, very rarely do we see anymore because the only weapon a coach has is ice time.
Yes.
And if you feel that after a while they don't even care about ice time, then you have to do something. And, Florida's in a tough spot. And for Paul to erupt the way he did last night, and I'm sure there are points today where he's a little sheepish about it and embarrassed. But athletes can take it. They understand it. They understand, hopefully, the urgency, which both coaches, Maurice and Bowness, used over the last couple of days, the urgency of trying to get to the playoffs. And you're right, it was fun to see.
Yeah, and we saw Derek Lalonde
that's right, third one,
go crazy earlier this week as well. A lot of F-bombs there. Very quickly, John, are we talking
not that we endorse it, not that we endorse F-bombs.
No. Are we talking enough, and by the way, Florida won that game. They're 1 point out of the playoffs
came
now.
Back.
Are we talking enough about the Minnesota Wild, John? I asked this question to a couple of our guests earlier this week. They win again last night in Colorado. One loss in regulation time in 21 games.
And right now have the best goaltending tandem in the National Hockey League. Yeah. With Gustafsson and Fleury. And we all thought that it was a bit fool's gold there for the first 60 games, and then Kaprizov got hurt, and we thought, well, that's the end of the Wild. They're going to be done. And then, man, oh man, guys like Matt Boldy, Hartman, Matt Zuccarello, Eriksson Ek, Goudreau. They really have played. Hey, how about Goudreau last night with that shorthanded goal?
Yeah. Yes.
And again, a passionate coach. I love watching Dean Evison coach. You know exactly what he's thinking at what time. His passion is evident every time there's a close-up of him on the bench, and the players have responded to him.
I tell you what, the look on his face sometimes, I do whatever he wants, John.
I know.
Hey,
I know.
Thanks for this. We have Dean's old boss coming up, Ron Toigo.
Well, say hello to Toigo for me. Tell me I haven't had a triple O burger in a while, but I was at the Conn Smythe Trophy, Conn Smythe dinner last night, and 3 people walked up to me and said they loved your show. They live here, but they're BC people. And one of them, a guy named Alistair, said he loved watching you guys every day.
What did Boudreaux say about our show?
He said, "Who's Rick Dahlia?" That's what he said.
Thanks, John.
Hey, he knows me because I said I texted him. Give me a break, John.
Thanks, John.
You know Bruce, you know.
Yeah, not as good as he does, though.
Okay. All right, John. Take care.
Cheers.
Yeah, you bet.